the topic of this video here is I'm going to be working on the headliner next. At least that's my plan. So just kind of starting maybe a little bit tonight. It's getting a little bit late, but I'm going to start the video tonight. And I've never done this before, so this will be more just kind of like showing you how I do it. I've been watching different videos and asking some questions on how to do it, so this will be exciting. A lot of the trim, for instance, is pretty universal with a lot of the way they fasten on. My plan is to get rid of the Landau bar here, which some people might not like, but the nice thing is I can get rid of it, and if I change my mind, I can put it on later, and so it's not the end of the world. But I don't, I am kind of modifying the car a little bit, and I don't love the look of it. So, but we'll see. I might change my mind as I go. But yeah, so basically we're gonna start with taking off our chrome trim, and I'm gonna have to do some rust repair. Hopefully the lighting is okay, but there's a couple different spots. This all here is good. It's just basically along the edges here, but thankfully it's nothing major. I think it should just be a matter of removing the rust and repainting. And as you can see, half of the, actually not anymore. When I bought the car, about half the roof, the original fabric was on, and I've since torn some of it off. But yeah, as far as I know, this is original. I have no reason to think it looks very original to me. So I know it's getting a little dark, and I don't really have great lighting in the shop here, in the garage. So hopefully you can still make that out okay. But we'll get started with removing the chrome trim, or this might actually be stainless. I'm not 100% sure. And then once I get that done, I'm going to address the different rust issues, prep everything, and yeah. So this video will span probably a couple of weeks at least, as I can work on it. And then obviously I got to give time for my paint to dry and all those different kinds of things. So I think I'm going to do this in parts, but I'm not sure. I'll see how it goes with how long the videos take. If it's going to take a super long time, I might divide this video into parts. And just quickly, before it gets too dark, I'll be probably messing with the trim at a later date. But one thing you can do, and on the Thunderbird, it actually has pretty intricate and trim. A lot of cars it'd be a lot more gradual, but this is a pretty sharp turn here, and so there's actually these divider. I know it's a little dark, I do apologize, but there's little divider trims here, or joiner pieces, I guess. I don't know what they're called. And so that actually comes off in segments. And I had seen some years ago, I think I was actually watching a video, or maybe I was reading my manual or something, but they recommend what you can do is you can take a Sharpie or something like that, and you can mark where they join, so you know that you can get them back in the same spots they were. And then obviously, when you're done Sharpie, you can just remove it with some hairspray or whatever. Or you could use a crayon or different things. But that's going to be pretty important on this car, I think, because there's several spots where it joins. Most cars, I think, actually would kind of be like a solid piece. There's a special tool that you can get specifically for taking off these trims on the rear windows, and I think it's also the same for the front windows. I may or may not buy it. I can find it for about $25 off Amazon, but I'm going to see if I can do it without buying an extra tool. I decided to attempt to work a little bit more on this, so got some light. Hopefully you can see that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mark these joints here. I think some of this should kind of only go back one way, as it were, but just to be safe. Like I said, I've never done this before, and I haven't even tried this prior to right now, so this is pretty open and honest. But anyways, so I got some of these plastic trim tools and one of these metal scrapers. Now, if you look online, the tool that they have for, if you just Google like a windshield trim removal tool, it basically looks like a point with two notches on either side, so you can kind of get it in to unclip, because there's push clips in here. I don't have one of those. I thought I might try making one. I could probably make one out of one of these, but what I'm going to try now is just a hook. And basically, I don't know, just find a weapon of choice. And I don't know if you can see that, but you can probably see a little bit, but it pries pretty easily. And then there's just gonna be these hooks, if I can find them. Of course, it would be helpful to know where they actually are. Definitely pays to take your time and be patient with this kind of stuff, which can be a struggle. But theoretically, a lot of gunk in there. Theoretically, what should happen is with the tool, you should be able to slip it along until you find one of the hooks. Now, there is a chance that this car is an exception to that. I really don't know. But that's what we're here to find out. So I'm gonna try a few different things. It's possible that this car has a more like a glue, because what I'm getting out with my scraper is kind of like a tar, but it could also just be a sealant. But at least with this tool, I'm not very likely to damage something. Because what's odd is I'm not feeling any clips. So, which is definitely not like what I saw. Trying to be really gentle with this. I left my flashlight in the house, so I will just be back, and I'm gonna try to take a better look in there. All right, so I got my light, and I was just thinking one thing I might do is just sequence these parts, especially these lower ones. On this, I guess this one would only go one way, but on some of the trims, if it's the kind of thing that it could go either way, I would just sequence, like do a number or something and take a picture of that, just so to remember. But anyway, so I'm gonna try looking here. I think I maybe see one here. Or do I? Maybe here? It's hard to tell. Sorry if I'm blocking it with my big head. Kind of feels like there's one there, but it's hard to tell. It is really hard to get to. And my train of thought was like, I'm only doing this once, so I don't necessarily want to spend money on the tool. And I also don't have endless budget. So basically how it works is, let's see if I can demonstrate how the clips work. Is it's just like a clip. So this would be the clip kind of, if you can imagine. So it's like two tangs, and then you know, the trim has a tongue that goes inside and it clips in. So what we're doing with our pick or the tool is you're going, and say they were tight like that, you're going and you're kind of like separating it so it'll pop loose. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to do. That one's loose there. Oh, there's another one here. So maybe there's only like two. Let's see if I can get this one. Maybe that tool is more of a necessity. There we go. Okay, so that section's basically loose. You can see that. And I'm gonna work down here a little bit. I imagine there's one kind of around here. Yeah. So there's one here. Ish, here, and right over here. So I think it's just three. Definitely would be a little bit easier to do this in the daylight. Okay, so that one's off now. Let's see, where's the next one? Okay, I think then there probably would be like two here. A lot of these are actually kind of coming off without the pick, but definitely want to be, there's almost like they're slipping out of there. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's one part of it. I think there's another one right here. It definitely seems like part of what's holding the trim in is the glue, the windshield. What is it, like a polyurethane or something? But and I don't know if this rear window is factory or not. It could have been replaced at some point, or they just maybe went a little bit heavy on that. So, and this one's loose. Maybe if I put this here, you can see that a little bit. Can you see this one right here? So there's that one there, which is already off. But then there's another one right here. Okay, so there's one here and here. And let's see if I can get this off here. So if you can get your pick on it, it seems like it comes out. Then that one just slips out. I do apologize for the poor lighting. I'm gonna probably hopefully do the most critical parts in better lighting, but so you can see my lines there. Can you see that? Will definitely come in handy to help make sure everything goes back, especially if you're trying to get it exact. So, and you can see at the back here, there's some tar. Or maybe you can't see that. Oh, well, that one came off without incident. The chrome on this car, or again, like I don't know if it's chrome or stainless. I think it's chrome. It looks like chrome to me. Anyways, it's in really good shape. So, but try to take you in here. You got some build up here, but anyways, this is what the clips are like. So basically, the clip is actually, okay, I guess I was kind of mistaken. It only has like one prong on it. So what would be happening, I think, is there's a little ridge here which hooks the trim. So, but anyways, at any rate, so then the track would run between here and the clip. So what you're trying to do is to grab it like this and to pull it so it releases. So, but these are really handy because it's hard to damage with this. Obviously, it's still possible, but definitely a lot of buildup in here. So it's going to be maybe a little bit harder to see in here. A lot of what is that, like 68, 50 some odd years. Okay, that one's just coming out. It's very possible that some of these clips could be rusted away. I'm not seeing any clips so far down here actually, which is odd. Definitely don't want to grab and pry up because it could kink very easily. But, and again, like doing this in daylight would be a little bit easier, so you don't have to hold a light. Try not to scrape this too much. But I'm not seeing any clips down here. Unless I'm just, oh, there's one. Okay. If you have the $25 to spring for that removal tool, it might probably be worth it because it seems to make pretty quick work of it from what I've seen. There we go. So far I'm only seeing the one there, but there's probably more. I'm thinking maybe they just rusted out or something. There's actually quite a bit of gunk in here. And I don't have a shop vac yet for my shop, so. Well, I call it a shop, it's just a garage bay. But that would be nice. If anybody wants to send me a Christmas present. Okay, and then there's a second one here that I'm seeing. So again, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be, or maybe, you know, who knows, like if somebody's already been in here at some point. You would have to take this off to replace the window, and it, you know, so if the window's already been replaced. Okay. Oh, guess I wasn't being so careful. I don't think I damaged it, but definitely don't want to pry up on that and kink it in here either. So I think it's loose. There we go. That's that one. Then there's a little joiner piece here. So don't forget to put that on first before you put it back together, I guess. And that appears to only go one way. Yeah, I think so. Interesting. Or maybe not. That's kind of how that looks. Okay, so I actually missed one here. I forgot to mention this. So there's actually a 7th here, I believe. And nothing here that I can find, but there's like a little spacer kind of here. And then there's a clip right here. right here, and right here, and then right here. And this one kind of was loose, but basically how it works is there's just a little, it looks like a nail head basically, and then this would slip on there, and definitely would make a little more sense once it's all cleaned up to figure out how those go in. Like this one here is, for instance, is like bent quite a bit, but so I don't know how well that was holding it on. And the headliner is definitely really in there. Almost looks like they put the windshield in after, but I got to do a little more research on that and find out. So I think that'll be about it for tonight. But these bottom trims also will have to come off, and I think this is probably going to be a similar style clip pin. And then that returns around. So then from there, it's basically going to be a matter of just getting in here and cleaning it all out, finding exactly where this all ends. But one thing I've never really seen anybody talk about is whether or not the headliner, the vinyl top, needs to be sealed to the windshield. Because, you know, if you think about it, if that's not sealed, you know, each layer, then you just have water, because that trim's not going to do anything except just trap water. And so be curious to find out whether or not this is how this is supposed to finish. So I'm gonna have to do a little research onto that. Well, I just couldn't stop, so I kept working at it and just kind of following my hunches, but it definitely seems like the headliner was sealed. There's like a tar, kind of like a seam sealer type of tar, and then there's also like a weather stripping adhesive or sealant type of thing. And the more I dig, the more I think this is all original, which is just cool. Like whatever they used, it's still like tacky and stretchy all this time passed. And then it also looks like the vinyl top does not go under the window, but it tucks in. But if I could guess, in the factory, the headliner vinyl top probably went on. I keep saying headliner. I mean, you know what I mean. But anyways, that probably went on first. Then the windshield probably went in. So I'm assuming it's in this order in the factory. Let me zoom this out here. But headliner, windshield, maybe. Then they would have done their bead of sealant. Then they would have set the clips, because the clips are in the glue. A lot of them have a lot of glue on them. So then they would have put the clips in, and then I don't know if they'd wait. I guess they don't really have time for it to dry in the factory, but they'd I assume put the clips in because they're definitely in the glue there, and then they set their chrome in, which would explain why there's oozing on the trim. I don't know if you can. I showed you earlier, but you can see there's that black oozing on the trim there. So, anyways, that's my hunch. All right, so I just wanted to demonstrate here how to remove one of these clips. These clips are just like, they just push onto the little nail head type of deal. So I just grab it with some pliers kind of off to the side of the clip and just work it a little bit. Like I said, there, it comes off. And so really, these are actually pretty easy. So the interior floor trim stuff uses similar system here, but it's basically just like a friction fit. So it just it slips on pretty easily onto that head. All right, so continuing on with the video, and I got Micah here with me. So he's going to be helping me and then probably holding the camera a little bit. But I found this out the hard way. So for removing these trims, unless if I'm missing something and there's some secret technique, you actually have to loosen these from the inside. And cue the Ford jokes right now. But yeah, I don't know why they would do that, engineer this way. I suppose it is pretty robust, but it's a headache. For me, it's really easy because my interior is already gutted. So unfortunately, I can't show you how to remove everything because I don't remember, and everything's already gone. So I can actually already access everything. But basically how this works is there's these clips that clip into the trim and they slide. I don't know if I can demonstrate, but they slide in the tract. So you can, position it in the holes. So it's actually a really clever system, except for the fact that to get to this, you literally have to take apart your interior. So like, I don't know. Again, it's been a while since I've done this, so it's been a while, so I don't know if I could remember how to take it all apart. But anyway, so once you do, you'll have to, if I can just get my phone in here, you'll have to take off the panel here. I think it's just one panel, and then you also have to take off enough to get to here, and the rest of it I think you should all be able to get from the trunk. But anyway, so there's these bolts on the backside, the 3/8 that fasten the trim. There's one in here, one in here, one in here. Sorry for the grainy photos. One in that hole there. And then while I'm at it, I'll just mention the Landau bar attaches here. I think there might be a third one, or it's just 3. And those are those look more like a 1/2 inch or 5/8 or 9/16. But anyway, so there's that many in there, and so again, you'll be looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 are around. It can be accessed in the trunk. You could kind of get it from there, but it's actually probably easier. And what I did, so I don't know if I can get it in camera, but if you stick your hand in through the trunk, and again, if your trunk is stock, you may have. I don't think there should be anything here. I don't think I had anything. But anyways, you put your hand up in here, and then you can access these two guys through the trunk. And then these are what the nuts look like. And they do have like a, I don't know. I think this would be for waterproofing, I'm assuming. So most of those are coming off. I'm not super concerned about it because I'm not really going to intentionally have my vehicle in the rain. But there's like a rubber washer on this side here, which would seal this on this side. And then there's I can see one of them that came off. So I'm not throwing them out or anything, but it looks like they just put a dab of sealant on it, which is still actually pretty pliable. But how I actually discovered this is I was being careful, I thought, but I just started to kind of wedge my tools in here, and then they started to snap. But I guess I should have maybe seen it coming, but I was just assuming that it would be something similar to this. So anyways, hopefully I can save somebody else the headache. I think I have enough of these from the other side that I should be able to at least get it mounted, but it would probably be pretty hard to source these aftermarket. So I'm going to look online to see if I can find them. If not, I might have to get some. But anyways, it in my case, I should be able to like share between the two sides. So anyways, I learned that the hard way, and so now you don't have to. And but then for this guy, it's the same deal. I haven't actually taken those off yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get these ones all through the trunk. If not, in your case, you would have to take out your speakers and your rear vent, and it's a headache. But this is, I don't know if I have a good example, but from all I can tell, these are not. There's no way to actually get it off. They're made to stay in the track because all of these busted trying to loosen them. So that's the next part, and then we're going to move on to getting these guys off and figure out how to do that. Okay, so I found out also that this back piece is actually yet again another separate clip system, which is great because these ones are plastic and they're definitely very brittle. So these would be, I think, from what I can tell, they're like a one-use clip, or maybe, you know, as long if it wasn't 50 plus years old, there'd be a different story maybe. But anyway, so these probably clip on, and then this top trim snaps on, but they're all busting. So these actually, this part actually pried out really easy. Do you want to grab that end, Micah? Just keep them flopping. So you saw how easy that popped there, and then that one's a little tough. So I'm going to be careful with that one. But anyway, so up until this corner is the bolts, and then these ones are like non-reusable clips along here, the plastic. But it's the same nail head kind of deal that is in here. But yeah, again, I don't know why they have to have like all these different systems on the same car. So I gotta find out if I can get these anywhere. This one's actually like, this one looks like it's pretty much intact here.
Yeah, that's one too.
Yeah, so it slips onto the nail head and then the track goes in. So anyways, that's how you remove that. So I guess be as careful as you can, but it's probably gonna bust.
Okay, so I'm getting one of the trim nuts off towards the back here. And one thing I did that you might also want to consider is taking it off the last bit of the way with a magnet. Because if you drop that down there, you're not gonna probably get it back. So I have a telescoping magnet that I stick on the end there. And to help keep it from dropping. But yeah, so there's this guy here. And then I forgot, I think I mentioned it earlier on, but there's actually on that back piece of chrome, there's two of the nut fasteners on the tail ends.
Okay, so this is turning into definitely a bit of a complicated job, and definitely can see why like nobody restores these cars. It's because it's a complete nightmare. And of course, like there'd be no aftermarket support for any of this. But anyways, so trying to figure out how this stuff comes off. Basically, what it comes down to is you got to remove everything in order to get to the track. So you got to take your weather stripping out. Then you got to remove your weather stripping track, which is this here. So all this is just a track that your weather stripping rides in. And then you got to drill out, this stuff is all riveted in. So you got to drill it all out. And then basically do your sides. In my case, what I did is I did this side first, and then I should be able to pull this one this way or that way. Pull it out that way out of the joiner pieces. So yeah, definitely a lot, very involved here. And then I still have to figure out how to get this one, but I'm gonna have to proceed, I think, and take off all my front window trim, which I didn't think I would need to, but I think I'm gonna need to do that. But anyway, so once you get the rivets out, it does come out pretty easy. Where's that last piece that came out? This guy here? Yeah. So this one, for instance, had 3 rivets in it, and then it cups over, and this was all filled with sealant. So they were definitely trying to achieve a seal from here to the trim, and then you know, onto that, then your weather stripping backing actually has another seal on the back side of it. So it's definitely very involved. And for those of you who followed for a while, you saw that I had done a fixed mount on the rear windows. Well, I actually had to take that off in order to get to the screws to remove the weather stripping. The weather stripping backing retainer. Anyway, so yeah, so we're going to keep working on that, but that's basically what we're looking at now. So now we got to take off the trim. So this is definitely turning into a lot more of a project than I thought it was. And I'm really glad that I'm hot rodding this car and not trying to restore it, because I think I never get it done, and it would frustrate me a lot. So you can see here on the drip rail, the way that they did it from factory is they would have done the headliner and then either applied the sealant. I'd assume they had applied it into the track. But so what this would be doing effectively is sealing the drip rail to the headliner so that all the water would go off. So typically on a standard drip rail, like a painted roof, you would put your drip rail in and then you do like a seam seal or something. But this is how they achieved that seal. So just a side note. So yeah, we drilled out this, pulled this out, and all right, so continuing on here, I'm going to proceed to take off the chrome trim around the windshield, because I think I am going to proceed to take out the windshield, because this definitely does go over top of the vinyl top, and I've come so far, it'd be a shame just to leave the one trim not or to leave the one side just not done correctly. So but anyways, the trim here removes the same as at the back window with the same clip system, and then the wipers need to come off, which is pretty simple to get off, and then I'll take this off and then go from there. So this is a gasket. There's no gasket on this windshield. It's just would be a urethane or polyurethane seal on there, so at least I don't have to buy a gasket, and I can replace it pretty cheaply. So yeah, I'm going to proceed, finish taking off all these. I don't know, I keep using the word proceed today for some reason, but going to take all that off and then go from there. All right, so to take off the wiper blades on the Thunderbird is pretty easy. On the driver's side, there's an additional arm here, at least on mine. I don't know if this has been altered, but anyways, that's the way it is on mine. But there's just a little pin that this second arm rides on, so you just push the clip that way and it'll pop off. And then basically it's just a matter of popping it off. It's kind of just a friction fit, at least on this car. A lot of cars I think have like a retaining clip of some sort, but so I just use my plastic tool to kind of wedge it down there, and I only have one hand, so hopefully I don't wreck anything, but I just kind of worked it in here and dry up. There we go. So I do apologize for the shaky camera. Actually, this one does have a little retaining clip, if you can see right in there. But this is I've taken these off a few times, and I've just kind of worked it up with a screwdriver, because it does hold it on, but it's not super tight, and I don't really know if you could get a screwdriver or something in there to take it off. But anyways, on this particular car, they do pry up pretty easily, and that clip releases kind of on its own. All right, so for these trims at the bottom of the windshield, the best way I can really describe it, and also, you know, the best way I kind of figured out, is if you let's see, if you basically pull down towards the front of the car, then kind of pry up and lift it out. What will happen is when you pull down, it'll allow you to kind of slip off this back tang here. Kind of an interesting clip system. And I actually put a little bit of a crease in this one, so that's too bad. But and then once you get a few of them towards the center out, the whole thing will actually kind of pull out. I don't know if I can do it now or not, but there we go. I might be hitting the door. Yeah, I'm gonna hit here. But anyways, that's kind of the best explanation of how to remove this off. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a fight to get these ones off, but again, if you pull it down, lift up, it'll kind of come off this clip, and then you can slide it up to get it off of that. And I think for reassembly, it would probably be slipping it over, down, and back on kind of the opposite way it came off. But the one thing I wanted to point out was that you might find these falling out, and this is how they go in. They're just like little rubber tabs kind of, and I think that's just to keep wind vibration, just so it doesn't rattle against the windshield and or scuff it. So, and then these actually, they mount with a bolt underneath the cowl here, which I have had off before. And actually, come to think of it, yeah, those will have to come off. So I guess now the next thing is we got to remove the cowl, which is pretty easy. Now that you have your wipers, you just got to lift the hood. You got bolts all along this end, and the cowl just comes out. It's very self-explanatory. Have already had that off once. So yeah, very extensive process just to do the vinyl top. Got to basically, you know, especially if this car wasn't stock, it would be a massive job to remove this. So, and then from there, got to figure out how to get these pillars off here, because I think they're one piece. From what I can tell, is like the chrome attaches to this all in one piece, but we gotta figure out how to get this off. Then, so next I'm going to probably take the cowl off so I can get to these clips, so those can be removed to then cut around the windshield and take the windshield out. All right, so got the hood popped here. Now you just have these bolts that go along here, and then you got a few spots where your wiper, your windshield washer lines run. And then from that, it's just pretty self-explanatory. You just take those out, and then it lifts out actually quite easily. This weather stripping will stay attached to the cowl, and that's about it. All right, so I got the cowl off, and I just wanted to point out a few things. Definitely this is like a bead of like kind of like a tar-based sealant, I think, that they squished here, and the same thing on the other side. Then also there is actually a little bit of like a weather stripping foam here, but I think it's stuck to the windshield, so we should be good there. I think it should stay on for in my case, I'm not too worried about that. And I'm guessing this was added to kind of divert water away from the car. I just noticed my reflections right there in the window. But anyways, so obviously this is not usable, it's just loose there. But if you're looking for a correct restoration, I suppose you'd want to pay careful attention to how this was, and you could duplicate it, I suppose, with another kind of sealant. But yeah, it's very crumbly. I'll just crumble it into the garbage here. It's kind of like a tar-based sealant. So anyways, wanted to throw that in there. No pun intended. All right, so I'm working on taking the windshield out now. And a few things I'm doing is using a pick to kind of take out some of the glue. It's a slow process, but kind of work at it a little bit here to make it easier to cut through. And then gotta go on the inside of the car, and I'm just using an Alpha blade. This one's a little bit shorter, but a longer, newer one I might put on just so I have more flex. But basically gotta go in and just come in on the inside of the windshield and cut it all through. And it's kind of funny watching my reflection in there. But tearing away a little bit of it first helps definitely to cut through, and then that's got to go all the way around. But at the again, with my car, like some of my dash and some of my trim's already out, so I do have a video up that I put out last winter about removing the dash, and so that might be helpful if you're wondering how to remove some of the inside trims there. Okay, so it's hard to demonstrate. Okay, so it's kind of hard to get a good shot of this, but kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So just going along, I already actually got a lot of it out, and I don't know if you can see that, but you can kind of grab it with a pick and get a string of it. This stuff is actually still quite sticky,
So whatever they used is a good quality, but definitely more gooey than what your modern windshield would be, because I've watched some videos on replacing it and it's definitely not this gooey, at least from what I've seen. But so that leads me to another point is, and this will come in a later video, but I want to test this with what I'm going to be using to replace it, just make sure it doesn't react, because sometimes different glues will react depending on what their base is. But you can see it's still super stringy after 50 plus years. So just working along here. One side note is some of these clips seem like they weren't coming out, the trim clips here, and I think it might be because they're kind of under the windshield. But so I'm gonna work along on that, and then got a fresh blade on my knife, and gonna work on the inside. So hopefully you can see this as I go inside. But you can actually even come. You can either just stay inside, or you can kind of come like this. And I don't know if you can pick it up, but I'm almost poking through the glue. Like right here. So this spot where I picked it out, it went right through. Super easy. So definitely helps to go ahead and pick through it first, because I was trying to cut it initially and it was really hard. But that, I literally just cut the whole swath. So anyway, so I'm going to proceed to pick this side out. I did a little bit, but basically I'm just picking the whole perimeter, and then the bottom here, there's not really as much to pick here, but so anyway, I'll do what I can, but hopefully you could see that and demonstrate it. But basically, as I demonstrated, you see, just try to run your blade, and obviously, be careful for scratching. I'm trying, as I pick this, not to dig into the metal or the chrome or anything, so I don't get rust formation just from me removing it. And I'm already starting to see some screws here. So I'm not sure. Up here, I think I saw a few screws, but definitely some screws here. So I think this pillar will screw on and remove. So looking promising, but I'm going to work on this, and definitely probably helpful to have a second set of hands for moving it, but I'll see how it goes. But I think from what I've seen is typically if you kind of do the top and the sides first, and if you can't get to the bottom, then from there you can kind of push it out a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. All right, just a quick side note. You definitely notice that you're going to get a lot of gunk buildup on your blade cutting around the seal. So different things you could use to remove it, but one thing that works really well is just some WD-40, and then also you could probably coat your blade with that a little bit just to keep it, because once it starts building up, it gets really hard to cut. All right, so continuing along here with the removal of the windshield, and it's a couple things I wanted to point out. A lot of picking definitely involved, and even from if you take your pick and come in on the inside after you run your blade a little bit, but it's very hard. It just takes a lot of patience for sure. One thing that probably would work is to spray, as you're getting closer, to spray WD-40 along it, let it soak for a bit. But trying to be really careful not to crack my windshield. But I got one of the plastic bars in here just wedged in, and then I'm just working on cleaning it out more, and it's starting to come loose. And then the other thing too that I noticed, I just want to point out, is it actually does appear there's like a little bit of a gasket material, and I think I'll know better once the windshield comes out, but it looks like they almost did that, and then almost looks like they did a layer of sealant, and then like a little gasket strip, and then another layer, but I'm not sure yet. But it's definitely not the traditional kind that like slips over and actually seals, just, a one-piece gasket. Gonna keep working away at this, and
go from there. But I basically I've been able to get a blade through, to pass a blade through all the way around except for out the bottom, and to just work on it a little bit at a time. But I definitely don't want to crack it, and then hopefully we'll be able to get it out pretty quickly. All right, so I did break down and spray this with WD-40. I went along the outside here, and then also went along the inside right in there where it joins the dash, right in the joint. And I'm glad I did, because it's not actually didn't actually make that much of a mess, and it is pretty easy to clean up with some soap and water or whatever. And I guess if you're worried about it, you could always cover your dash with something. And then that also made it a lot easier to start bringing my knife on the inside, in there. So, but then also I'm coming out here and it's still holding on pretty good. So I'm going to start working on this. But I just wanted to show there's actually a bit of gunk in here, but one of these flat plastic tools works pretty handy. And so in hindsight, I might have tried that in here instead of the pick, and to use some WD-40 a lot sooner than I am now. But anyways, learn from my mistakes. So it definitely does seem to help quite a bit to spray it down and to work it out with something like this, you know, because obviously you can't really scratch the paint with that. All right, so the windshield is out now, and now it's just a matter of going around and cleaning all this sealant adhesive out. So I'm just gonna, I did a patch here, but took my blade and just cut it this way and this way. It's actually still quite difficult to get out, but I'm gonna go around, clean it. You know, trying to do what I can not to cut into the metal to scratch, but can only do so much. And then as far as like cleaning it, I've heard it recommended by window installers not to actually remove all of the previous urethane, because it will bond better with something that's already stuck on. So that's that. And but yeah, then I'm gonna clean around here, go up here, and then figure out how these are detached. I already can spot a few spots where there's screws, like right here. But I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then hopefully get this off and all finished today. All right, so plodding along here, and got the little windshield keepers taken out, and pretty self-explanatory with those. And then getting some good progress here on the scraping. But just one thing I noticed, so now that I scraped the glue out of here, these trim keepers have come out. But I noticed, I was trying to pull this one out, and then I took a closer look. It looks like these ones are actually mounted with a screw that would also hold on this trim. So if you're having a hard time getting these ones out, that would probably be why. So just if you're struggling to try to pull those out, hold off a second, because you probably just need to scrape this until you can get to those screws. All right, so on these pillars here, there's going to be 3 screws, one up there, one down here, and then one in the center there. And once those are removed, then, and if you recall back to earlier, I drilled out the rivet that was here, and that's about it. I think I only had one rivet up here, if I remember correctly. But anyway, so kind of got it loose here. I'm just going to zoom this out a little bit, and I think that should be about it. Unless I'm missing something. There's definitely a lot of gunk in there. But let's see. There's a lot of stuff in there. What am I catching on here? just some glue, I guess. But let's see if I can get it out. Okay, there we go. There's a lot of stuff in there. Gonna have a lot of cleaning to do. You can see all the dirt falling out there. But what do we have here? So it looks like they put a bead here before they stuck that on, which makes sense, so that this would drain off and onto the window. And you can see the remnant of the top that curled around. So that one comes off like that. Again, the 3 screws, and then I think just the 1 rivet up here. Other side will be the same. And then this one here, I haven't taken it off yet. But I'm pretty sure it's just, I took out 1 screw here. They all a little different, so you will probably want to keep track of which ones goes where. But they're all a little different, which is strange. Like, you think that they could just kind of make them all uniform, make it easy, and just make everything the same. But of course, that's not how it works. All right, so got the last piece of trim off. And unless if I was missing some screws or they had rusted through, the only ones I could find are just on either end. They're in these smaller, these smaller screws here. So there's one of each, and then yeah, it just pulls off. And for a moment I was thinking, wait a minute, did I actually need to take the windshield out? And because I was like, well, maybe I could have just like dug it out to get to those screws. But then I looked at it further, and I'm like 99% sure that you could not remove this piece without taking the windshield out. Like, I may have, had I known where these screws were, I may have been able to. So I guess if you're watching this now and you're curious, you could always give it a try. But for me, this was a total like test pilot project. I've never done this before. And I don't think there's any videos online yet about this. So hopefully this was helpful. What else? A really helpful thing to have would be some mineral spirits, or aka paint thinner, because that should also work really well, even better than WD-40. I don't have any, but I'm definitely going to need to pick some up to clean off the glass here and the clean up any smudges and whatnot. But I think that's about it. I'm just going to zoom this out a little bit. So for me, I just got to finish off the other side here. I still have to finish this side, but you saw earlier in the video how to do that. And the only other outstanding thing I can think of is just the landau bars, which I think I mentioned earlier, but they attach the same way these trims do. There's a couple bolts that go through. It goes on, and then you fasten it from the inside. And yeah, I think everything else I covered. I don't think I missed anything. So hopefully that was helpful. And this is part 1 of the video. I know it was probably a pretty long video by the time I finished editing all this. So if you made it to the end, thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully that was helpful. And I don't know, I'll probably do 2 more parts, I'm thinking. So my next one will probably be paint or rust repair and kind of prep, getting general prep. And then it'll be actually installing. And maybe even 4 parts with reinstalling the chrome. But we'll see how it goes. So if you have any positive feedback or negative feedback, or any comments to make or questions, just put that in the comments. And I think that's it for today. I think I covered about everything. Maybe just to recap, some really handy tools would be, you're going to need some screwdrivers, obviously, but these chrome or these plastic trim tools are very handy. Some needle nose pliers are really important to be able to pull the retainer clips out. Aside from that, mostly just like basic tools. Again, like I said, some mineral spirits to dissolve that. Maybe some WD-40 or some other mineral-based spray cans type of deal to be able to spray in here, like I showed earlier. A good deal of patience and just with something like this, it's easy to get frustrated and just like force something. You know, like if you get frustrated and you push the windshield before it's ready to come out, then you're probably you could crack it or whatever. Or, you know, like I did, like bend some chrome trim. But the other thing too, I don't know where it took off to, but yeah, pick. A good pick is really, really helpful. And a good knife. Obviously, it's easy to cut yourself because you got to put a bit of muscle into it to cut through that stuff. So obviously, try to be careful with that. And if you have the budget for it, that windshield trim removal tool. I don't have a picture of it or anything. I don't really know. I'm not that techie. But anyways, if you Google it, you can find it pretty easily. But when it comes to removing the clips, at first I was trying to like hook it and pull it. Towards the end, I figured out if you hook it and then twist like that, that's the way to do it. And also that's the way the tool operates too. Is like you bring it in, you hook it, and then you turn it. So anyways, enough rambling. So thanks for watching, and hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.